Have you ever looked at loans and thought they only create stress and debt? That is because most people never learn how to use them with care and purpose. In this audiobook, you will see a different path. You will learn how smart borrowing can help you build credit, create income, and move forward with more control. You will also learn how to avoid the mistakes that trap people in fear, pressure, and constant payment problems. This is not about taking money carelessly. It is about understanding how banks work, how to choose the right kind of loan, and how to use borrowed money in a way that supports real growth. Step by step, you will hear practical ideas that are simple to understand and easy to apply in daily life. You will learn how to think clearly before borrowing, how to protect your money, and how to turn financial pressure into progress. If you have ever felt stuck, this audiobook can help you see a better way. Stay with this journey and listen closely, because what comes next may change how you think about money, discipline, and your future. Chapter 14. Understand how loans create leverage for financial growth. Money shapes choices. Loans shape time. Most people see loans as pressure. A disciplined mind sees loans as leverage. Leverage means using something small to move something bigger. In financial life, leverage allows a person to move forward faster than saving alone. This idea requires responsibility. It requires patience. It requires calm thinking. Without discipline, loans destroy. With discipline, loans build. A person who earns slowly and saves slowly often feels trapped. Income comes in small steps. Goals feel far away. A house takes decades. A business never starts. Skills remain unused. The system rewards those who understand timing. Loans change timing. Loans bring future money into the present. That shift is powerful. When used correctly, it creates momentum. Momentum creates opportunity. Opportunity creates growth. Imagine someone who saves 10% of income each month. Progress happens. It is steady. It is safe. It is also slow. Now imagine the same person with a clear plan and strong discipline. Instead of waiting years to gather capital, they borrow responsibly and invest into something productive. They begin earlier. They learn earlier. They earn earlier. Time becomes an ally instead of an enemy. Leverage does not mean borrowing blindly. It means borrowing with purpose. Every loan must answer one question. Will this decision move life forward? A person who borrows for consumption gains short pleasure. A person who borrows for growth builds long value. This distinction defines success. A loan for status fades quickly. A loan for skill training can increase income for decades. A loan for a depreciating item drains energy. A loan for a productive asset builds strength. The first mental shift is simple. Stop seeing loans as emergency tools. Start seeing them as strategic tools. A disciplined mind plans before borrowing. The plan defines how the money works. The plan defines how repayment happens. The plan defines what success looks like. Without a plan, a loan becomes stress. With a plan, a loan becomes structure. Financial leverage works because money can produce more money. This concept sounds simple. Many people ignore it. Money placed in education increases earning ability. Money placed in tools increases productivity. Money placed in business expands income streams. When borrowed money earns more than its cost, the difference builds wealth. That difference is the engine of leverage. Understanding cost matters. Every loan has interest. Interest is the price of time. Paying interest is not always negative. Paying interest for consumption is costly. Paying interest for growth can be wise. The disciplined thinker calculates carefully. If borrowed funds help create income that exceeds interest, then leverage works. If income does not exceed cost, then leverage harms. This thinking demands honesty. A person must evaluate skills. A person must evaluate discipline. A person must evaluate risk tolerance. Leverage magnifies outcomes. Good decisions grow faster. Bad decisions fall faster. This is why emotional control matters. Calm analysis protects progress. Impulse destroys it. Start small. This is the safest approach. Use a small loan to learn responsibility. Track payments. Track results. Observe emotional reactions. Notice stress levels. This learning builds confidence. Confidence leads to better decisions. Gradual growth prevents overwhelming pressure. A practical example helps. A person working a regular job wants to increase income. They identify a skill that is in demand. Training costs money. Saving might take years. Instead, they borrow responsibly. They commit to daily practice. They complete training. They begin freelancing. Extra income appears. They repay the loan. The skill remains. The increased income continues. This is leverage creating growth. Another example shows caution. Someone borrows for lifestyle upgrades, new devices, new clothes, social approval. No additional income appears. Payments continue. Stress rises. Motivation drops. This is leverage used incorrectly. The difference lies in intention. One builds capacity. The other drains resources. Time is the most valuable asset. Leverage compresses time. Instead of waiting 5 years to invest in growth, a person acts today. Acting earlier multiplies results. Skills compound. Experience compounds. Networks expand. Income increases. Delaying growth delays everything else. However, discipline must guide every step. Monthly repayment is non-negotiable. Respecting commitments builds character. Character builds financial credibility. Credibility unlocks better opportunities. A person who pays consistently earns trust. Trust leads to better terms. Better terms reduce costs. Reduced costs increase leverage power. Track every number. Write down loan amount. Write down interest. Write down expected return. Writing brings clarity. Clarity reduces fear. Fear often comes from uncertainty. When numbers are clear, decisions become calm. Calm decisions reduce mistakes. Focus on productive use. Borrowed money must work immediately. Idle borrowed money drains energy. Everyday interest accumulates. Productive action counters this. Once funds arrive, put them to use. Begin the project. Begin the training. Begin the investment. Action protects leverage. Self-control plays a central role. Borrowing creates temptation. Extra money feels powerful. Without discipline, spending increases. This destroys the purpose. Set boundaries before borrowing. Decide exactly where money goes. Follow the plan strictly. Discipline turns borrowed funds into tools. Build a repayment habit. Pay earlier when possible. Paying early reduces stress. Paying early builds confidence. Paying early improves credit strength. This habit strengthens financial identity. Over time, this identity creates opportunities. Think long-term. The goal is not one successful loan. The goal is mastering leverage responsibly. Each successful experience builds knowledge. Knowledge improves judgment. Better judgment increases outcomes. Over time, leverage becomes a skill. Skilled use of leverage accelerates growth. Emotional resilience matters. Unexpected challenges happen. Income may slow. Costs may rise. Panic leads to poor decisions. Calm thinking protects progress. Always maintain a safety buffer. Even a small reserve reduces pressure. This discipline ensures stability. Leverage also teaches accountability. Borrowed money belongs to a commitment. Respecting commitments builds self-respect. Self-respect strengthens discipline. Discipline improves life beyond finances. A person who manages loans responsibly often improves habits in other areas. They plan better. They act with purpose. They reduce waste. This transformation shapes character. Avoid comparison. Some people borrow excessively. Some people avoid borrowing entirely. Neither extreme guarantees success. Balance matters. Thoughtful borrowing aligned with goals works best. Focus on personal growth. Focus on responsible progress. Another important insight involves income expansion. Borrowing should often aim to increase earning capacity. A new skill, productivity tools. These create cash flow. Cash flow supports repayment. Cash flow builds independence. This cycle strengthens leverage. Measure results regularly. Review progress manageable. Is income improving? Is stress controlled? Adjust when needed. Adaptation prevents problems. Flexibility maintains momentum. Use patience. Leverage is not instant wealth. It is structured growth. Results appear gradually. Consistency matters more than speed. Each payment made, each improvement gained, each lesson learned. These build lasting success. Learn to differentiate between risk and recklessness. Risk involves calculated decisions. Recklessness ignores consequences. A disciplined person evaluates carefully. They prepare backup plans. They anticipate obstacles. Preparation reduces fear. Confidence grows through responsible action. The first successful loan builds belief. The second improves skill. The third increases scale. Gradual growth creates strong foundations. Strong foundations support long-term success. Remember that leverage magnifies discipline. If discipline is weak, stress increases. If discipline is strong, growth accelerates. Therefore, focus first on habits. Budget daily. Track spending. Avoid waste. These habits prepare the mind. Respect the power of consistency. Small monthly progress compounds. A loan used wisely starts a chain reaction. Increased income funds new opportunities. Opportunities create independence. Independence creates confidence. Stay grounded. Borrow only what can be managed. Ambition without control creates pressure. Control ensures sustainability. Sustainable growth lasts. Another practical step involves separating personal spending from borrowed funds. Keep accounts distinct. This prevents confusion. Clear separation maintains focus. Every borrowed unit must have a defined purpose. Learn from experience. Mistakes may happen. Do not ignore them. Analyze calmly. Adjust strategy. Growth comes from reflection. Reflection improves decisions. Think about opportunity cost. Waiting also has a cost. Delaying growth delays earnings. Delaying skills delays confidence. Sometimes responsible borrowing reduces this hidden cost. Acting early multiplies results. Maintain humility. Even successful leverage requires caution. Markets change. Opportunities shift. Stay observant. Stay disciplined. Continue learning. Leverage also develops strategic thinking. Before borrowing, a person must analyze outcomes. This builds mental strength. This improves planning skills. Planning benefits all areas of life. Focus on value creation. Borrowed money should create value for others. A service, a product, a solution. Value creation generates income. Income repays loans. This cycle builds stability. Protect mental peace. Avoid overextension. Too many obligations reduce focus. Start with manageable commitments. Gradual expansion preserves clarity. Practice gratitude for opportunities. Access to capital is a tool. Use it wisely. Respect it. Responsible use builds trust with institutions. Trust unlocks better options. Financial growth is rarely accidental. It results from decisions. Leveraged decisions accelerate outcomes. Discipline ensures safety. Patience ensures longevity. Each repayment strengthens character. Each productive investment builds capability. Each lesson improves judgment. Over time, these create transformation. A person who understands leverage stops fearing loans. They respect them. They use them deliberately. They avoid unnecessary borrowing. They choose purposeful growth. The mindset shifts from scarcity to strategy. Instead of waiting passively, a person acts thoughtfully. Instead of fearing responsibility, they embrace it. Responsibility builds strength. Long-term success requires alignment, income growth, discipline. All must work together. Loans become one tool within this system, not the entire strategy. Balanced thinking prevents dependency. Focus on sustainable improvement. Borrow for growth that lasts. Skills, assets, systems. These continue producing value. Temporary gains are less useful. Remember that self-mastery comes first. A calm mind, disciplined habits, clear goals. These transform leverage into progress. Without self-mastery, loans create chaos. Take deliberate steps. Define a goal. Calculate requirements. Borrow responsibly. Act immediately. Track results. Repay consistently. Reflect and improve. Repeat with greater wisdom. Growth through leverage mirrors personal growth. It demands responsibility. It demands patience. It rewards discipline. It punishes carelessness. This clarity guides decisions. A person who masters leverage masters time. They reduce waiting. They increase action. They build momentum. Momentum transforms life. Confidence comes from controlled risk. Each calculated decision strengthens belief. Belief fuels motivation. Motivation drives effort. Effort produces results. Stay committed to improvement. Even after success, continue learning. Financial environments change. Skills evolve. Adaptation ensures progress. Leverage used wisely empowers independence. Independence reduces fear. Reduced fear encourages innovation. Innovation creates new opportunities. Understand that wealth is built through systems. Leveraged decisions become part of that system. Each decision connects to the next. Consistency builds structure. Focus on responsibility. Borrowed money demands respect. Respect builds discipline. Discipline builds success. Over time, the person who understands leverage moves differently. They plan carefully. They act confidently. They avoid impulsive decisions. They build steadily. This transformation is not only financial. It affects mindset. It strengthens resilience. It improves decision-making. It cultivates patience. The journey begins with understanding. Loans are not enemies. They are tools. Tools require skill. Skill requires practice. Practice requires discipline. A disciplined individual uses leverage to accelerate growth while protecting stability. They measure carefully. They act intentionally. They repay faithfully. They learn continuously. The result is empowerment. Not sudden wealth, not unrealistic promises. Real empowerment through structured progress. Each step builds the next. Financial growth through leverage is a path of responsibility. Those who walk it with discipline gain control over time and opportunity. Those who misuse it face stress. The difference lies in mindset. Choose clarity. Choose discipline. Choose growth. Use loans as instruments of progress. Make them serve long-term goals. Transform borrowed resources into productive energy. Maintain calm focus. Continue improving. Over months and years the effects compound. Increased skills, expanded income, stronger habits, improved confidence. These changes reshape life. Understanding leverage is the first step. Responsible action follows. Consistent discipline sustains. Long-term growth emerges. The bank provides capital. The disciplined mind provides direction. When both align, progress accelerates. The system rewards responsibility. The individual who learns this principle gains advantage. Stand firm in commitment. Treat leverage with respect. Build steadily. Improve daily. Convert borrowed time into productive results. Continue forward with calm determination. Chapter 20. Learn disciplined borrowing to build long-term wealth. Wealth rarely grows from speed alone. It grows from discipline. Many people believe borrowing is dangerous. Others believe borrowing is the fastest path to success. Both extremes create confusion. The truth lies in disciplined borrowing. Discipline turns borrowing into a structured path toward long-term wealth. Without discipline, borrowing becomes pressure. With discipline, borrowing becomes a calculated step forward. Disciplined borrowing begins with clarity. A person must understand why money is being borrowed. Borrowing without purpose creates uncertainty. Borrowing with purpose creates direction. Direction reduces stress. Direction increases confidence. Before accepting any loan, a person must define the outcome. This simple act builds awareness. It prevents emotional decisions. It ensures that borrowing supports growth instead of creating burden. Long-term wealth requires patience. Disciplined borrowing respects time. It avoids chasing quick rewards. Instead, it focuses on steady improvement. A disciplined borrower chooses opportunities that build lasting value. They invest in skills that increase earning potential. They invest in tools that improve productivity. They invest in systems that generate income over time. These decisions shape financial stability. A calm mind is essential. Borrowing creates responsibility. Responsibility can create pressure. Pressure can lead to poor decisions. Discipline controls emotions. A disciplined borrower stays focused on the plan. They avoid panic. They avoid impulsive spending. They stay committed to repayment. This mindset builds strength. Over time, this strength becomes a habit. Many people borrow based on desire. Disciplined borrowers borrow based on strategy. Desire fades quickly. Strategy remains. A disciplined borrower evaluates carefully. They consider income stability. They consider repayment capacity. They consider potential growth. These factors guide decisions. This process protects long-term wealth. Consistency plays a powerful role. Wealth grows slowly but steadily. Disciplined borrowing aligns with this truth. A person may start with a small loan. They use it wisely. They repay consistently. They build confidence. This process repeats. Each cycle strengthens financial habits. Each successful step builds trust. Trust opens better opportunities. Borrowing must always match capacity. A disciplined borrower never stretches beyond comfort. They choose manageable repayments. This reduces stress. This maintains focus. A calm mind performs better. A stressed mind makes mistakes. Protecting mental clarity is part of disciplined borrowing. Planning is another pillar. A disciplined borrower creates a repayment schedule. They track income and expenses. They allocate funds for repayment first. This habit ensures stability. It prevents missed payments. It builds reliability. Reliability strengthens financial reputation. Disciplined borrowing also involves separating needs from wants. Many people confuse the two. A disciplined borrower remains honest. They focus on growth opportunities. They avoid borrowing for temporary pleasure. This restraint protects wealth. This restraint builds character. Another key aspect involves timing. Borrowing at the right moment improves outcomes. A disciplined borrower studies opportunities carefully. They act when conditions support growth. They avoid rushing. Patience leads to better decisions. Good timing increases success. Self-awareness is equally important. A disciplined borrower understands personal strengths. They recognize limitations. They borrow only when prepared. This awareness reduces risk. It improves decision-making. Growth becomes more predictable. Financial discipline extends beyond borrowing. It includes daily habits. Spending control supports repayment. Saving builds security. Tracking expenses improves awareness. These habits create a strong foundation. Borrowing then becomes safer. Long-term wealth requires multiple steps. Disciplined borrowing supports each step. A person may borrow to gain skills. Skills increase income. Increased income supports future investments. Each step builds on the previous one. This process creates momentum. Emotional control protects progress. Unexpected challenges appear. Income may fluctuate. Costs may increase. A disciplined borrower stays calm. They adjust carefully. They maintain focus. This resilience ensures continuity. Disciplined borrowing also involves learning. Every experience teaches something valuable. A borrower reviews outcomes. They identify strengths. They correct mistakes. Continuous improvement strengthens strategy. Accountability plays a major role. Borrowed money carries responsibility. A disciplined borrower respects commitments. They prioritize repayments. They maintain credibility. Credibility builds opportunities. Avoiding unnecessary borrowing is also discipline. Not every opportunity requires borrowing. Sometimes waiting is wiser. A disciplined borrower evaluates carefully. They choose quality over quantity. This approach protects long-term wealth. Long-term thinking transforms behavior. A disciplined borrower focuses on future stability. They avoid decisions that create short-term comfort but long-term stress. This mindset builds resilience. Building wealth requires repeated disciplined actions. Borrow responsibly. Use funds wisely. Repay consistently. Reflect and improve. Repeat with greater confidence. This cycle builds financial strength. Disciplined borrowing also improves decision-making in other areas. A person becomes more thoughtful. They evaluate consequences. They plan ahead. These skills benefit life beyond finances. Another practical step involves creating a safety margin. A disciplined borrower maintains a small reserve. This buffer reduces pressure. It protects repayment during challenges. Stability increases confidence. Discipline grows through practice. The first experience may feel uncomfortable. Over time, confidence increases. A disciplined borrower becomes more comfortable with responsibility. This growth builds independence. Wealth built through discipline lasts longer. Sudden gains often disappear. Disciplined growth creates stability. Stability supports freedom. Freedom reduces stress. This transformation changes life. Focus on value creation. Borrowed funds should create value. Value attracts income. Income supports repayment. This cycle strengthens wealth. A disciplined borrower respects limits. They avoid overcommitment. They maintain balance. This prevents burnout. Sustainable growth becomes possible. Learning to say no is part of discipline. Not every idea deserves borrowing. A disciplined borrower chooses carefully. This selectivity improves outcomes. Tracking progress motivates action. A disciplined borrower observes improvements. They notice reduced debt. They notice increased income. These signs encourage persistence. Building wealth through disciplined borrowing requires patience. Results appear gradually. Each step matters. Each payment matters. Each improvement matters. Responsibility builds confidence. Confidence strengthens discipline. Discipline improves outcomes. This positive cycle supports long-term wealth. Disciplined borrowing also teaches humility. Even good plans require flexibility. Conditions change. A disciplined borrower adapts calmly. Adaptation ensures progress. Financial independence begins with responsibility. Disciplined borrowing supports independence. Independence reduces reliance on uncertain opportunities. Stability increases confidence. Growth requires commitment. A disciplined borrower commits fully. They avoid distractions. They follow through. This dedication creates results. Over time, disciplined borrowing becomes natural. Decisions become easier. confidence increases. Wealth grows steadily. The person who practices disciplined borrowing develops strong habits. They become focused. They become resilient. They become patient. These qualities shape long-term success. Financial growth is not only about numbers, it is about mindset. Disciplined borrowing builds a mindset of responsibility. This mindset improves every area of life. Consistency remains the most important factor. Small disciplined actions repeated over time create significant results. Borrow wisely. Use funds productively. Repay with discipline. Continue improving. Long-term wealth belongs to those who respect discipline. Borrowing becomes a tool. Discipline becomes the guide. Together they create progress. A disciplined borrower moves forward with calm confidence. They avoid fear. They avoid impulsive decisions. They trust their plan. This clarity creates stability. The journey toward wealth begins with disciplined choices. Each responsible decision strengthens the foundation. Each disciplined action builds the future. With patience and discipline, borrowing becomes a powerful ally. It supports growth. It accelerates progress. It builds long-term wealth. Stay focused. Stay disciplined. Continue improving. Over time, disciplined borrowing transforms financial life and builds lasting prosperity. Chapter 30. Use good debt to accelerate income opportunities. Good debt is not about taking money carelessly. It is about using borrowed money in a way that increases your ability to earn. That is the difference between pressure and progress. Many people hear the word debt and immediately think of loss. They imagine stress. They imagine regret. They imagine empty accounts and restless nights. But not every debt is equal. Some debt destroys stability. Some debt builds income. The challenge is learning how to tell the difference and then acting with discipline. Income does not grow by accident. It grows when a person makes a clear decision to create value. Good debt can support that decision when it is used with focus and restraint. A loan used to learn a skill can open a new career path. A loan used to buy equipment can increase output. A loan used to start a small service can turn spare hours into earnings. The borrowed money itself is not the victory. The victory comes from what the money enables you to do. A disciplined person begins with purpose. Before borrowing anything, they ask a simple question. What income will this create? That question cuts through confusion. If the answer is vague, then the debt is probably not good. If the answer is clear and practical, then the borrowing may be worth considering. Good debt always connects to a real path toward earning more. It should never depend on hope alone. It should rest on a plan that can be explained in simple words. One of the strongest uses of good debt is education that leads to income. Training costs money. Books cost money. Certificates cost money. Tools for learning cost money. Many people wait too long because they want to avoid the price. They forget that delay also has a price. Every month spent without new income is time lost. When a person uses borrowed money to gain a marketable skill, they are not wasting resources. They are accelerating future earning power. The debt becomes a bridge from where they are to where they need to be. A practical example makes this easier to see. A person may already know how to work hard, but their current job pays too little. They borrow responsibly to learn digital marketing, web design, coding, bookkeeping, or another skill that companies and clients need. They study seriously. They practice every day. They build samples. They apply for work. The new skill brings a higher income. The debt is repaid from improved earnings. The person is now stronger than before because they turned borrowed money into ability. Good debt can also support tools that increase productivity. A person with a delivery service may need a motorbike. A person with a sewing business may need a better machine. A person with a camera skill may need better equipment. A person with a computer-based service may need a reliable laptop. These are not luxury buys when they directly support income. They are working tools. When a tool helps you produce more, serve more, or work faster, the debt behind it can make sense. The key is simple. The tool must pay for itself over time. Speed matters. Good debt helps you move faster than saving alone. Saving is wise. Saving builds discipline. But there are moments when waiting too long means missing opportunity. A market changes. A demand grows. A client opens a door. A season arrives. A person who is prepared and can act quickly often benefits more than someone who waits until the moment has passed. Good debt can provide that speed. It allows a person to respond while the opportunity is alive. Still, speed without control leads to mistakes. A disciplined borrower never confuses urgency with impulse. They do not borrow just because something feels exciting. They borrow only when the opportunity is real, the numbers make sense, and the repayment plan is strong. This level of thinking protects the future. It also creates calm. A calm mind sees clearly. A restless mind chases glitter and calls it progress. Using good debt to accelerate income requires honesty about your current situation. You must know how much you earn now. You must know how much you need to survive. You must know how much the debt will cost. You must know when the added income can begin. These numbers matter. They are not limits on ambition. They are the structure that keeps ambition from becoming a trap. A person who respects numbers respects reality. A person who respects reality makes better decisions. It is also important to borrow in a way that matches your temperament. Some people can handle pressure well. Others become anxious quickly. Neither type should pretend to be someone else. Choose a debt level that allows you to think clearly and sleep well. A loan should create opportunity, not constant fear. The goal is growth with stability. If the debt is too large for your current capacity, the risk may be unnecessary. Start with what you can manage, prove your discipline, then grow from there. Good debt should lead to visible action. Once the money arrives, use it immediately and intentionally. Buy the course. Purchase the tool. Start the service. Launch the project. Do not let borrowed money sit unused while interest continues to move. Idle money becomes a burden. Active money can become a seed. The faster you put borrowed funds to work, the better your chances of creating income before the cost becomes heavy. The strongest borrowers are not emotional gamblers. They are patient builders. They understand that a small step taken with discipline often matters more than a bold step taken with confusion. A person may begin with a modest loan and use it to earn their first new stream of income. That first stream can fund the next step, then the next. Growth becomes layered. Income begins to spread into different areas. Stability improves because the person is no longer dependent on one source alone. That is the real power of good debt. It can help a person move from survival to expansion. It can help a person stop trading all their time for all their money. It can give room for a side business, a freelance service, a better job, or a stronger trade. It can support the kind of effort that creates options. Options matter because they reduce fear. When you have options, you are not forced to accept every bad deal. You can choose better. But good debt only works when the borrower keeps control. Never use income created from borrowed money as an excuse to spend without thinking. New income should have a job. Part of it should repay the debt. Part of it should support growth. Part of it should build a reserve. This is where discipline becomes powerful. It prevents success from turning into waste. Many people make more money and still stay stuck because they let their habits rise with their income. Do not make that mistake. Let your discipline rise faster than your income. A stoic mind stays steady through discomfort. At times repayment will feel tight. At times progress will feel slow. At times doubt will whisper that you should have waited. Do not panic. Do not complain. Stay focused on the purpose. The right debt, used well, is not a mistake. It is a tool. Handle it with seriousness. Pay on time. Keep promises. Maintain order. These habits strengthen character while they strengthen finances. Every productive debt should leave you with something permanent. A skill. A tool. A system. A client base. A source of income. Something must remain after the loan is gone. That is how you know the debt had value. If all that remains is stress and regret, then the debt was not good. If all that remains is a new ability to earn, then the debt served its purpose well. A person who understands this principle begins to see money differently. Money is no longer only for consumption. Money becomes a force that can be directed. Borrowed money can become a bridge to higher earnings when it is used with discipline, honesty, and patience. That does not mean every opportunity is wise. It means the right opportunity deserves serious attention. Choose income over image. Choose growth over impulse. Choose tools over vanity. Choose discipline over excitement. That is how good debt becomes a weapon for progress. That is how borrowed money helps create a stronger life. That is how a calm and determined person moves forward with purpose. Chapter 40. Build credit strength to unlock powerful loan advantages. Credit strength is not built in a single moment. It is built through repeated choices that show banks and lenders that you are steady, reliable, and serious. Many people think credit is only a number. It is more than that. It is a record of how you handle trust. It shows whether you pay on time, whether you keep your promises, and whether you can manage responsibility without panic. When credit becomes strong, loan options become better, interest may become lower, limits may rise, approval may become easier, more doors begin to open. That is why credit strength matters. A person who wants financial freedom must first learn how trust works in the financial world. Lenders do not reward excitement. They reward consistency. They do not look for perfect people. They look for dependable people. This is good news because dependability can be learned. A person does not need to be rich to begin. A person does not need to be lucky. A person only needs discipline, patience, and a clear system. Credit strength begins with awareness. You cannot improve what you do not understand. Start by knowing what appears on your credit record. Know your balances. Know your payment dates. Know your limits. Know your history. Many people avoid this because they fear bad news. That fear only keeps them weak. Strength begins when you look at the facts without emotion. Facts give direction. Guesswork gives confusion. Once you understand your current position, the next step is simple and serious. Pay every bill on time, not most of them, every one of them. On-time payment is one of the clearest signs of discipline. A late payment tells lenders that you may not be steady under pressure. A record of on-time payments tells them the opposite. It says you respect commitments. It says you can manage your life with order. It says your word has value. Even small obligations matter. A small bill paid late can damage trust just as surely as a larger one. Do not dismiss small accounts as unimportant. Credit strength is often built from ordinary habits, repeated for long enough to matter. A person who is careful with small responsibilities becomes trusted with larger ones later. This is how growth works. It starts quietly and proves itself over time. Keep balances under control. One of the fastest ways to weaken credit strength is to use too much of your available credit. High balances can make you look stretched even when you are still making payments. A disciplined borrower uses credit with restraint. They do not treat every limit like free money. They treat it like a tool that must be handled with care. The lower your balance relative to your limit, the better you often look to lenders. That means your habits matter, even when you are not asking for a new loan. Credit strength also grows when you avoid unnecessary applications. Every time you chase money carelessly, you may add pressure to your record. Too many applications can make you appear desperate. A person with discipline does not apply everywhere just to see what happens. They apply when there is a real reason and a real plan. They move with intention. That kind of behavior builds confidence over time. Think of credit as a reputation that lives on paper. Your daily decisions write the story. If the story is messy, the future becomes harder. If the story is stable, the future becomes easier. This is why the strongest borrowers are often not the loudest people. They are the most reliable ones. They show up, they pay on time, they keep things under control, they do not waste attention, they focus on building trust. If your credit is weak now, do not let shame control you. Shame helps no one. Honest action helps. The past can be corrected through steady behavior. Start small if needed. Use one account well. Keep one bill current. Build one habit at a time. Strength is often the result of many small wins that no one else notices. Over time, those quiet wins create a stronger financial identity. People may not see the effort, but lenders will see the pattern. A strong credit profile can unlock better loan terms. That matters because loan terms shape the pressure you carry. A lower rate can save money. A better limit can create room for growth. Faster approval can help you respond to an opportunity. Credit strength does not create wealth by itself, but it improves the environment in which wealth can grow. It makes good plans easier to execute. It reduces friction. It gives you more choices. Better choices matter because choice creates power. When a person has access to fair financing, they can act with more confidence. They can invest in education. They can expand a business. They can handle a temporary need without falling into chaos. They can move forward without begging, rushing, or accepting poor terms. Credit strength gives breathing room. Breathing room gives clarity. Clarity gives better decisions. The disciplined mindset treats credit as a tool, not a toy. A toy is used for momentary pleasure. A tool is used for building. Every purchase should be weighed against its effect on future stability. A strong credit user asks whether the action supports growth. They ask whether the payment can be handled comfortably. They ask whether the choice creates more value than stress. This habit protects them from many mistakes. One of the most powerful habits is paying more than the minimum when possible. Minimum payments may keep you in good standing, but they rarely build speed. If your goal is strength, then reducing balances faster can improve your position. It shows seriousness. It frees capacity. It lowers pressure. Every extra payment is a message to the future that you are not drifting. You are in control. Another wise habit is protecting old accounts that have served you well. Time matters in credit history. A record that has stayed stable for years often carries more trust than one that is constantly changing. Stability tells a story of patience. It shows that you do not panic and restart every time something feels inconvenient. Long-term strength often comes from keeping what works and improving what needs work. That principle applies to money and to life. Build your credit the same way you build your character. Slowly, honestly, consistently. There is no shortcut that replaces discipline. There is no trick that can stand against repeated responsibility. Lenders may offer products and programs, but the foundation is always behavior. Behavior decides access. Access creates opportunity. Opportunity rewards preparation. It helps to think beyond the next loan. Many people only care about the immediate approval. That is too small a view. The real aim is to create a financial profile that serves you for years. Strong credit can help you buy a home, grow a business, or handle a major need without being crushed by cost. It can lower stress in moments that would otherwise feel heavy. It can strengthen your position when life changes suddenly. This is why credit deserves your respect. At the same time, do not confuse access with permission to overreach. Just because a lender offers more does not mean you should take more. A strong borrower knows the difference between opportunity and temptation. They understand that every borrowed amount must still be repaid. They do not let pride dictate their decisions. They stay grounded. They keep their standards high. They refuse to trade future peace for present excitement. A stoic approach is useful here. Some days your progress will feel slow. Some numbers may improve in small ways that seem unimportant. Stay steady anyway. Character is built in those quiet stretches when nobody is watching and results are still forming. Do the right things because they are right, not because they feel dramatic. A calm person with discipline can move farther than a restless person with talent. Credit strength also reflects how you handle setbacks. A mistake does not have to become an identity. Fix what can be fixed. Set reminders. Organize your due dates. Reduce waste. Build a cleaner system. Growth often begins with one clear decision to stop being careless. Once that decision is made, progress can become visible sooner than expected. The real advantage of strong credit is freedom with structure. It is not freedom from responsibility. It is freedom because of responsibility. The more trustworthy you become, the more options you can access. The more options you have, the more carefully you must think. That is the mature path. That is the path that leads to long-term financial strength. A person who builds strong credit is not chasing approval from banks. They are creating leverage for their own future. They are proving that discipline can turn ordinary money into extraordinary opportunity. They are showing that trust, once earned, can become a powerful asset, and they are doing it one payment, one decision, and one patient step at a time. That is how credit strength grows. That is how loan advantages appear. That is how a person learns to stand in a better position tomorrow than they stood in today. Chapter 5. Create strategic plans before taking any loan. A loan should never begin with excitement. It should begin with thought. That is where many people go wrong. They see the money first and the plan second. They feel the possibility of change and rush toward it before understanding the cost. A strategic borrower does the opposite. They think before they act. They build the plan first. They ask hard questions. They measure the risk. They study the outcome. Only then do they borrow. That habit protects peace and creates long-term strength. A plan gives shape to money. Without a plan, borrowed money has no direction. It moves quickly and disappears just as fast. With a plan, every dollar has a purpose. Every decision supports an outcome. Every repayment fits into a larger structure. This is the difference between being carried by debt and using debt with control. A person who plans well does not rely on hope alone. They rely on clear steps, honest numbers, and steady discipline. Before taking any loan, define the exact reason for it. Not a vague reason, a clear reason. Do not say you need money to improve life. Say what part of life will improve and how. Will the loan pay for training that raises income? Will it buy a tool that increases production? Will it help open a small business that has already been researched? Will it cover a real cost that protects your ability to earn? The reason must be specific enough that another person could understand it without guessing. Clarity removes confusion, and confusion is one of the biggest causes of financial pain. Once the reason is clear, estimate the result. What will the loan create? More income, more time, better skill, better efficiency, greater stability. A better loan is not just one that can be repaid. It is one that leaves you stronger after it is gone. The borrowed money should not vanish into daily noise. It should become something that remains useful after the final payment is made. That may be knowledge, equipment, a service, a client base, or a stronger income stream. The result must matter enough to justify the obligation. The next step is honest numbers. Many people avoid this because numbers can feel heavy. Yet numbers are not the enemy, they are the truth. Write down how much you need. Write down the interest. Write down the term. Write down the monthly payment. Write down your current income and essential expenses. Then compare them with clear eyes. Can you still live with peace while repaying this loan? Can you still handle a bad month? Can you still breathe? If the numbers create pressure that feels too sharp, then the loan may be too large or the purpose may be too weak. A strategic borrower always studies the worst case, not only the best case. Good days make promises easy. Hard days reveal whether the plan is solid. Ask what happens if income drops for a short time. Ask what happens if an expense appears suddenly. Ask what happens if the expected profit takes longer than planned. These questions are not signs of fear. They are signs of maturity. A person who prepares for difficulty becomes harder to break. Calm preparation is a form of strength. A strong plan also includes timing. Borrowing at the wrong time can turn a useful loan into a burden. If the project needs several months before it produces anything, then the repayment structure must respect that delay. If the goal is quick income, then the loan should match that pace. A rushed schedule can crush motivation. A thoughtful schedule supports action. Timing matters because life does not always move in a straight line. A wise borrower respects the rhythm of real life. Another part of strategy is choosing the right amount. More is not always better. Taking a larger loan than necessary often creates pressure and weakens focus. A smaller, well-used loan can produce better results than a larger one handled poorly. Borrow only what the plan truly requires. Extra money often invites waste. A disciplined person knows that unused funds can become dangerous. They do not confuse access with need. They do not borrow to feel powerful. They borrow to accomplish something real. It also helps to break the plan into stages. Large goals become easier when divided into smaller actions. If the loan is for a business, decide what comes first. Will you buy inventory first? Will you acquire the basic tool first? Will you market first? Will you test the idea with a few customers before expanding? Step-by-step thinking reduces fear. It also prevents waste. A person who plans in stages can adjust faster when reality changes. Flexibility is a quiet form of intelligence. A strategic plan should include repayment before spending begins. This is important. Do not wait until the money is gone to think about how the loan will be repaid. Put repayment at the center from the start. Know exactly where the money will come from. Know which income stream will support the payment. Know which expenses can be reduced if needed. This removes uncertainty. It also trains the mind to respect the obligation instead of treating it like a casual choice. Your plan should also protect your daily life. A loan should not destroy your ability to eat well, sleep well, or think clearly. Stress clouds judgment. Exhaustion weakens discipline. If the repayment plan leaves no room for life, then the plan may be too aggressive. Sustainable borrowing is better than impressive borrowing. Quiet stability is worth more than dramatic risk. A person who keeps their balance can keep moving. That is what matters. Use written notes. Writing brings order to thought. A loan that lives only in memory can become vague and dangerous. A written plan can be reviewed, corrected, and improved. It keeps you honest. It shows what was intended and what is actually happening. The page does not flatter you. It tells the truth. That truth helps you avoid mistakes before they become costly. Strategic planning also means knowing your own habits. Some people are excellent at taking action but poor at slowing down. Others are careful but delay too long. Be honest about yourself. If you tend to spend when money feels available, then create stronger limits before the loan arrives. If you tend to avoid action after getting the funds, then set deadlines and accountability. A good plan does not ignore personality. It works with reality. It builds around your weaknesses instead of pretending they do not exist. You should also ask whether the loan improves your future position. Does it create a skill, an asset, a service, or a system? Does it raise your earning power in a real way? Does it reduce future cost or increase future choice? These are the kinds of questions that separate useful borrowing from careless borrowing. A strategic person does not think only about today's pressure. They think about tomorrow's freedom. That is where wisdom lies. Another powerful habit is to compare the loan with other paths. Could the goal be reached in another way? Could you save part of it and borrow less? Could you delay the purchase and gain more leverage later? Could you partner with someone? Could you begin smaller and grow over time? Strategic thinking is not about always borrowing. It is about using the best path, not the fastest one by habit. Sometimes the strongest move is patience. Sometimes the strongest move is action. The skill is knowing the difference. A clear plan also builds confidence. When you know why you are borrowing, how you will use the money, how you will repay it, and what success looks like, fear loses power. You stop seeing the loan as a threat and start seeing it as a tool. That shift matters. Calm confidence helps you make better choices after the money arrives. It keeps you from wasting energy on doubt. And after the loan is taken, the plan should continue guiding your behavior. Review it often. Adjust it when needed. Protect it from distraction. Follow the steps with discipline. A plan is only useful when it is lived. A written strategy that is ignored has no value, but a simple plan followed with care can change the future. This is how strong financial growth begins, not with impulse, not with noise, not with pressure. It begins with thought, honesty, and structure. A person who creates a strategic plan before taking any loan is already ahead of the person who borrows first and thinks later. That person has respect for money, respect for time, and respect for the life they are building. That kind of respect turns a loan from a burden into a carefully guided step toward strength. Chapter 6e. Invest borrowed money into assets generating steady income. Borrowed money becomes dangerous when it is spent on things that lose value and bring nothing back. Borrowed money becomes powerful when it is placed into assets that return cash again and again. That difference changes everything. A person who understands this principle stops thinking like a consumer and starts thinking like a builder. The goal is not to borrow and feel rich for a moment. The goal is to borrow and create something that pays you long after the excitement has passed. An asset is anything that produces income, saves money, or increases your ability to earn. It might be a small business machine, a delivery vehicle used for work, a rental item, a digital product, a piece of equipment for a service, or tools that help you produce more with less effort. The form does not matter as much as the result. What matters is whether the borrowed money goes into something that keeps working after the purchase is made. That is how money starts serving you instead of draining you. Many people make the mistake of borrowing for appearance. They buy what looks good, not what works well. A new item may bring a few days of pride, but pride does not pay bills. An asset brings something more stable. It brings rental income, service income, production income, or cost savings that free up money each month. That is the kind of return that creates real progress. The strongest financial moves are often quiet. They do not shout. They produce. Before putting borrowed money into any asset, ask one clear question. How does this item create steady income? If there is no direct answer, pause. If the answer is weak, pause again. A responsible borrower does not move based on emotion. They move based on function. The asset must have a purpose that can be measured. It should be possible to explain in plain words how it will help bring money in. This keeps the decision honest and protects the future. Steady income matters more than a one-time gain. A quick profit can disappear fast. Steady income builds confidence because it gives you a rhythm you can trust. It helps you plan. It helps you repay. It helps you think clearly under pressure. A person who has a reliable flow of cash from an asset is less likely to panic when life becomes difficult. Stability gives room to breathe. Room to breathe gives room to grow. The best assets are often the ones that match your skills. If you already know how to repair things, then tools that support a repair service may be valuable. If you know how to cook, then equipment that helps a food business may create returns. If you know how to create videos, then a camera or editing setup may help build income. If you understand sales, then inventory with clear demand may produce cash. The strongest investments are not random. They match ability with opportunity. Skill gives the asset a better chance to perform. A borrowed asset should never be left idle. Idle assets waste capital. Every day they sit unused, they lose their power to justify the loan. Use the asset quickly and with discipline. Put it to work. Market the service. Offer the product. Rent the item. Launch the business. A strong start matters because early action creates momentum. Momentum is valuable. It helps you build belief through results instead of hope. Cash flow is the real test. A useful asset does not just look valuable. It produces actual money over time. That money may be small at first, but consistency matters. A steady stream, even if modest, can cover repayments and leave room for growth. This is where discipline becomes visible. You must track what comes in and what goes out. You must know whether the asset truly supports your goals. If income is not improving, do not ignore the truth. Adjust, improve, replace, learn. Honesty protects progress. It is wise to start with assets that are easier to understand. Complex investments can confuse the mind and create stress. A simple asset with a clear return is often better than a complicated one that looks impressive but remains uncertain. Many people chase ideas they barely understand because the promise sounds large. A disciplined mind chooses clarity over noise. Clear income beats vague excitement every time. Borrowed money also demands patience. Not every asset pays instantly. Some require setup. Some need time to attract customers. Some need steady effort before returns appear. That does not mean the decision is wrong. It means the borrower must be prepared for a process. The person who expects immediate reward from every move becomes frustrated too quickly. The person who understands timing stays calm and focused. Patience supports good judgment. One of the best uses of borrowed money is to buy something that helps you earn while you sleep, or at least while you are not actively working every minute. A rental item, a digital product, a storage asset, or a service system can keep producing without your constant physical presence. That does not mean no effort is required. It means effort is concentrated in the beginning and continues to produce after the hard work is done. That is the beauty of income-generating assets. They help your time stretch further. Still, every asset carries risk. A disciplined person does not deny this. They prepare for it. They research demand. They test small when possible. They study maintenance costs. They check whether the market is real or imagined. They ask what could go wrong. They keep a reserve for repairs or slow months. This is not fear. This is wisdom. A wise person respects uncertainty and plans around it. The goal is not to impress others with the size of the loan or the price of the asset. The goal is to improve your position. A modest asset that consistently produces income is more valuable than an expensive item that looks impressive but contributes nothing. Wealth is often built through boring consistency, steady returns, patient management, clear records, regular reinvestment. Those habits matter more than drama. If the asset begins to generate income, protect that income. Do not let every dollar disappear into casual spending. Give each amount a purpose. Part should repay the loan. Part should maintain the asset. Part should grow the opportunity. Part should build a cushion. This is how stability grows. A person who handles income carelessly will soon wonder where it went. A person who directs income with discipline keeps moving forward. Assets should also expand your confidence. When you see money returning from something you financed wisely, your mindset changes. You stop seeing borrowing as a burden only. You begin to understand it as a tool that can create motion. That understanding matters because it changes the way you make future decisions. You become calmer. You become more thoughtful. You stop chasing shortcuts and start building systems. The best asset is one that teaches you while it earns. It should improve your judgment. It should sharpen your discipline. It should make you more organized. A loan that creates income and strengthens character is a powerful tool. It gives you more than money. It gives you experience. Experience is valuable because it makes the next decision better than the last one. A person who invests borrowed money begins to think in terms of return instead of impulse. They ask what each move will produce over time. They become less attached to temporary pleasure and more committed to lasting value. This shift is important. It helps them avoid waste. It helps them build a life that can withstand pressure. Assets create that kind of foundation. You should also review your assets often. A steady income stream can weaken if neglected. Markets change. Customers change. Costs change. The borrower who stays alert can correct problems early. The borrower who ignores the numbers may lose ground without noticing. Regular review keeps the system healthy. It shows respect for the capital and for the opportunity. There is dignity in building income from something that keeps working for you. It does not happen by accident. It happens through research, discipline, and follow-through. It happens when borrowed money is treated as a serious responsibility. It happens when a person refuses to waste the chance to create something lasting. Borrowed money can become a bridge to freedom when it is placed into assets that pay steadily and consistently. That path is not flashy. It is practical. It is measured. It rewards the person who can delay impulse and think in seasons instead of moments. The right asset can support a family, relieve pressure, and create room for new goals. It can turn a financial burden into a source of strength. The lesson is simple. Do not borrow just to spend. Borrow to build. Borrow to create income. Borrow to buy something that works after the purchase is done. Borrow with purpose, manage with discipline, and keep your focus on the steady return. That is how a loan becomes a tool for growth. That is how borrowed money starts working for your future instead of against it. Chapter 7: Control risk while maximizing loan-based opportunities. Risk is part of every loan. It is impossible to borrow money and remove risk completely. What matters is not the absence of risk. What matters is control. A person who learns to control risk can use loans as tools for growth without allowing fear to rule their life. A person who ignores risk can turn a useful opportunity into a heavy burden. The difference is not luck. The difference is discipline. Controlling risk begins with honest thinking. Many people borrow while focusing only on what they hope will go right. They imagine success and ignore weakness. That mindset feels hopeful for a moment, but it is not strong enough to protect a future. A serious borrower looks at the full picture. They ask what could fail. They ask how long repayment might take. They ask what happens if income drops for a short time. They ask whether the opportunity still makes sense when life becomes difficult. These questions are not signs of fear. They are signs of maturity. A person who wants to maximize loan-based opportunities must first know the size of the risk they can carry. Not every person has the same margin. One person may have steady income and a reserve. Another may be starting from a fragile position. Both can grow, but they must borrow in different ways. The strong borrower does not pretend to be stronger than they are. They respect their current situation and build from there. That respect protects them from damage. One of the best ways to control risk is to borrow less than the maximum available. Many people believe the full amount is the goal. It is not. The goal is to use only what is needed for the opportunity to work well. Extra borrowing often creates stress without creating extra value. Smaller, well-used loans are often safer and smarter than large loans, taken only because they are offered. Restraint is powerful. It keeps pressure at a manageable level and helps the mind stay clear. Another way to reduce risk is to separate opportunity from impulse. Some deals look exciting because they promise speed. They sound impressive. They make people feel like they are about to miss out. That feeling can be dangerous. A disciplined borrower does not rush because others are moving. They examine the facts. They measure the return. They check the demand. They look for proof. Opportunity should be real before money is committed. A strong decision is built on evidence, not excitement. Diversification also helps control risk. Putting everything into one fragile plan can be dangerous. If one source fails, the whole structure can shake. A better approach is to spread effort across more than one income path when possible. One loan might support a skill. Another may help a small service. Another may improve tools. This does not mean borrowing carelessly from many places. It means building a broader base so that one problem does not destroy all progress. Stability grows when your future is not resting on a single point. Cash flow is a major part of risk management. Before taking a loan, know exactly how repayment will happen. Do not trust vague hope. Trust a real stream of money. If a business is the source, study whether customers are steady. If a job is the source, understand whether income is dependable. If a project is the source, know how long it will take to begin producing. A loan without a clear cash flow plan is a risk that has not yet been respected. A loan with a clear payment source is much safer. It is also wise to build a buffer. Life rarely follows a perfect line. Expenses appear suddenly. Income may come late. A delay in one area can affect the whole plan. A reserve gives breathing room. Even a small cushion can reduce stress and protect the repayment schedule. This kind of preparation is not weakness. It is strength that has learned to anticipate reality. People who prepare buffers often recover faster from setbacks than people who rely on optimism alone. Control risk by understanding the terms of the loan. Read carefully. Know the rate. Know the due date. Know the fees. Know the consequences of late payment. Know whether the terms can change. Many people suffer because they never really understood what they agreed to. That mistake is painful but avoidable. A disciplined borrower does not sign in haste. They ask questions until the structure is clear. Clarity lowers risk because it removes hidden surprises. Another important habit is to protect your energy. High-risk decisions can wear a person down if they are emotionally unstable. Stress makes people impatient. Impatience leads to poor choices. To stay strong, keep your habits steady. Sleep enough. Track your numbers. Review your plan often. Avoid unnecessary noise. A calm mind is not passive. It is alert. It can notice danger sooner. It can make better decisions under pressure. Emotional control is one of the most useful tools in borrowing. A person who wants to maximize opportunities must also know when not to act. Not every open door should be entered. Some doors lead to unnecessary strain. Some opportunities are too early. Some are too uncertain. Some are too costly for the possible gain. A wise borrower has the patience to wait for a better opening. Waiting is not failure. Waiting can be protection. The strongest choice is sometimes the one that keeps you out of trouble. Risk should be measured continuously, not once. A plan that made sense last month may need adjustment today. Markets change. Costs change. People change. Income can rise or fall. A disciplined borrower reviews progress often and makes corrections before small issues grow larger. This habit turns risk control into a living practice instead of a one-time decision. It keeps the borrower alert and responsive. Losses are part of learning. Not every decision works perfectly. The point is to limit the damage when things go wrong. A person who controls risk accepts that mistakes may happen but refuses to let mistakes destroy everything. They learn, they adjust, they recover. That mindset creates resilience. Resilience matters because it allows growth to continue even after pressure appears. The best opportunities usually require a balance of courage and caution. Too much fear stops progress. Too much boldness causes harm. The disciplined borrower stands between those extremes. They move with confidence, but they move carefully. They do not let fear paralyze them. They do not let excitement blind them. They think clearly and act with intention. That balance is rare. It is also powerful. A strong risk mindset looks for upside without ignoring cost. It asks what the loan can create and what it might threaten. It values growth, but it respects survival. There is no shame in being careful. In fact, careful people often last longer and reach farther. The goal is not to look daring. The goal is to build a life that can endure. It helps to learn from those who have already borrowed successfully. Watch how they structure decisions. Notice how they protect cash flow. Notice how they avoid overextending. Notice how they think in systems rather than impulses. Good models make better decisions easier to understand. Yet even after learning from others, each person must adapt the lesson to their own situation. What works for one person may not fit another. Self-awareness remains essential. To maximize loan-based opportunities, you must treat risk as something to manage with structure. Set limits before money arrives. Decide how much is enough. Decide what will be paid first. Decide what warning signs will force a pause. When rules are set in advance, emotions have less power later. That preparation protects you during moments of pressure. A person who handles risk well becomes stronger over time. They gain confidence not because they never face difficulty, but because they know how to respond when difficulty appears. They stop fearing every borrowed dollar. They start seeing borrowing as a tool that can be handled with discipline. That confidence grows from repeated wise choices. This is the deeper lesson. Opportunity and risk always travel together. You cannot fully separate them, but you can choose how much risk you will accept, how carefully you will prepare, and how wisely you will respond. That is where strength lies. That is where growth becomes sustainable. That is where a loan stops being a gamble and becomes a calculated step toward a better future. Chapter 80. Develop financial discipline to manage multiple smart loans. Managing multiple smart loans is not a sign of chaos when the borrower has discipline. It is a sign of structure. It means money is being handled with purpose instead of fear. It means each loan has a job. It means the person in charge is not drifting with pressure, but leading with order. Without discipline, multiple loans can crush a life. With discipline, they can support growth, expand income, and open more room for progress. The difference is never the number alone. The difference is the habit behind the number. Financial discipline begins with control of attention. A person with several loans must know exactly what is due, when it is due, and where the money will come from. Confusion creates delay. Delay creates stress. Stress creates mistakes. A disciplined borrower does not leave payments in memory alone. They use reminders. They write schedules. They track each obligation in a simple system that can be reviewed at any time. This is not complicated work. It is steady work. It is the kind of work that protects peace. Multiple smart loans only make sense when each one serves a clear purpose. One loan may support education. Another may support equipment. Another may support a small business need. Each loan should belong to a specific goal. When loans are mixed together in the mind, the borrower loses control. When each loan has its own role, decisions become cleaner. Clarity is power. It keeps the mind from turning every payment into a panic. Discipline also means knowing the order of importance. Not all debts carry the same urgency. Some may have higher interest. Some may be tied to stronger penalties. Some may protect income more directly. A disciplined person learns to rank them. They do not pay randomly. They pay intentionally. They direct extra funds where it makes the most difference. This kind of order saves money and reduces pressure. It also keeps progress visible, which helps motivation stay alive. The person managing multiple loans must also understand their monthly reality. Income is not imagination. Expenses are not suggestions. Every month has limits. Discipline means respecting those limits instead of pretending they are softer than they are. A strong borrower creates a budget that is honest, simple, and repeatable. They know how much comes in. They know what must go out. They know what remains. They protect the essential first. They do not let small desires weaken the whole structure. One of the most powerful habits is paying on time before spending on anything else. This sounds simple, but it changes everything. It trains the mind to put responsibility first. It reduces the chance of missed payments. It builds trust. It keeps the borrower steady. People who wait until the end of the month to see what is left often get trapped by uncertainty. People who set aside repayment at the start move with calm confidence. A person with several smart loans must also be careful with emotional spending. Stress can tempt a person to buy comfort. Tiredness can tempt a person to reward themselves too soon. Frustration can lead to careless choices. Discipline means noticing these moments and refusing to let mood control money. A wise borrower does not treat a hard day as an excuse to weaken the plan. They breathe, they pause, they stay with the facts. That ability is valuable because it prevents small emotional decisions from becoming large financial damage. Tracking progress is another part of discipline. When you manage multiple loans, you need to see movement. Numbers that never get reviewed can feel heavy and endless. But when you track balances, payments, and remaining terms, the mind sees proof that effort is working. That proof matters. It builds patience. It reminds the borrower that the burden is shrinking. Each payment is not a loss. It is a step toward freedom. Multiple smart loans should never be used to hide deeper problems. A loan cannot fix poor habits by itself. If spending is uncontrolled, more borrowing only gives the problem more room to grow. Discipline means correcting behavior while managing obligations. It means reducing waste. It means avoiding impulse. It means building a life where borrowed money is handled with respect. The borrower must become stronger than the temptation to misuse what is available. A practical system helps. Some people use separate accounts for different goals. Some label debts clearly. Some create a calendar with payment dates. Some review everything once a week. The method is less important than the consistency. The system must be simple enough to follow even on a tiring day. If the system is too complex, it will break. If it is clear, it will support discipline instead of competing with it. Managing multiple loans also requires restraint when new opportunities appear. A disciplined borrower does not chase every chance just because it exists. They study whether the new move supports the existing plan. They ask whether it strengthens cash flow or weakens it. They ask whether it adds pressure or value. They ask whether the timing is right. This kind of thinking protects the borrower from overcommitment. Many people do not fail because opportunities were absent. They fail because they accepted too many at once without the strength to carry them. Cash flow protection is one of the highest forms of discipline. The borrower must guard the money that keeps the system alive. This means avoiding careless purchases. It means reducing non-essential spending during heavy repayment seasons. It means understanding that temporary sacrifice can lead to permanent relief. A person who can delay comfort for the sake of long-term stability has real strength. That strength shows character. It also improves the odds of success. It is important to remember that discipline is not punishment. It is a form of self-respect. It says your future matters enough to deserve order. It says your promises matter. It says your goals are real. Managing multiple smart loans becomes easier when the borrower sees discipline as support rather than restriction. Structure does not take away freedom. Structure makes freedom possible. A person in this position must also protect energy. Too many obligations can wear down focus if they are not handled well. Rest matters. Sleep matters. Clear thinking matters. A tired mind makes sloppy decisions. A disciplined life includes habits that preserve mental sharpness. That may mean taking care of health, reducing noise, and avoiding constant financial anxiety. A calm person handles complexity better than a panicked one. Multiple loans can create progress when they are part of a larger plan. A loan may help a person gain a skill. Another may help acquire a tool. Another may support a service. When each piece contributes to a bigger direction, the overall structure becomes stronger. This is how disciplined borrowing turns into growth. The goal is not to collect obligations. The goal is to build a stronger financial life with clear intent. Every repayment is also a training ground. It teaches patience, it teaches order, it teaches humility. It teaches the borrower to wait for results instead of demanding instant comfort. These lessons have value beyond money. They shape character. They make a person more reliable. They make a person more thoughtful. They make a person harder to break when life becomes difficult. Someone who develops financial discipline around multiple smart loans becomes less afraid of responsibility. They stop seeing obligations as chaos and start seeing them as managed commitments. They understand that money can be structured. They understand that progress can be measured. They understand that a serious life requires serious habits. This understanding brings maturity. The path is not about being perfect. Mistakes may happen. A payment may need adjustment. A plan may need review. What matters is the response. A disciplined person does not collapse when pressure appears. They correct. They continue. They stay honest. They return to the plan and keep moving. That steady return to order is a mark of strength. A person who can manage multiple smart loans with discipline has learned something powerful. They have learned how to carry responsibility without losing peace. They have learned how to keep promises while growing. They have learned how to let money serve purpose instead of emotion. That lesson can change the direction of a life. It creates resilience. It creates trust. It creates momentum. And over time, it creates the kind of stability that supports real freedom. Chapter 9a: Turn bank rules into tools for personal advancement. Banks are often seen as obstacles or gatekeepers, but the truth is that understanding their rules can turn them into tools for personal advancement. The system has structure, and structure can be learned. Rules are not meant to punish. They are consistent guidelines that, when used strategically, can create opportunity. A person who studies these rules carefully can use them to leverage capital, strengthen credibility, and access resources that others overlook. Knowledge transforms what feels restrictive into a source of power. The first step is to know the rules intimately. Interest rates, repayment schedules, collateral requirements, credit scoring factors, and lending limits all matter. Ignorance leads to mistakes. Understanding creates freedom. A disciplined person does not accept assumptions about loans or banking practices. They read the terms, ask questions, and ensure that they comprehend every obligation. Clarity reduces fear and uncertainty, allowing the borrower to act decisively rather than reactively. The system becomes predictable instead of intimidating. One of the most effective ways to turn bank rules into advantages is to use timing strategically. Banks offer promotions, rate adjustments, and programs that favor early or timely action. By knowing the calendar of offers and understanding what triggers changes in fees or interest, a person can optimize borrowing. Borrowing at the right moment can lower costs significantly and improve cash flow. Timing is often overlooked, yet it can make the difference between a burdensome loan and one that accelerates progress. Banks reward consistency. Regular, on-time payments improve credit scores and build trust. This is not just about avoiding penalties, it is about creating leverage. A person with a strong repayment history gains access to larger loans, lower interest rates, and more flexible terms. These advantages can be used to invest, grow assets, and expand income streams. Discipline in repayment translates directly into opportunity. Reliability becomes a currency in itself, and it can open doors to options that others cannot access. Understanding collateral is another key factor. Many loans require an asset as security, and knowing which assets are acceptable and how they are valued allows a borrower to maximize what they can leverage. This does not mean risking essential possessions carelessly. It means strategically selecting resources that satisfy the bank while supporting personal goals. Collateral becomes a tool rather than a trap. It allows the borrower to negotiate better terms, secure larger amounts, and create conditions where borrowed money works efficiently. Banks also respond to clear plans. Presenting a loan request with a concise, realistic, and documented strategy improves approval chances and often results in more favorable terms. Lenders prefer borrowers who show competence and foresight. The system is designed to protect the institution, but a prepared borrower aligns their needs with the bank's interests. When the plan is transparent and well-structured, banks see less risk. That perception creates opportunity for the borrower to access resources that might otherwise be denied. Another aspect of bank rules is understanding credit utilization. Borrowing within responsible limits while maintaining low utilization ratios enhances credit scores. This simple measure increases eligibility for future loans and lowers interest rates. High credit utilization can appear reckless, even if payments are made on time. Strategic management of available credit demonstrates responsibility and financial intelligence. This positions the borrower for ongoing access to capital and enables growth through multiple well-chosen loans. Leverage rules can also be exploited through structured repayment schedules. Some loans offer the ability to make additional payments without penalty. This flexibility allows a borrower to accelerate repayment on high-interest portions while keeping lower interest components longer for investment purposes. Others have grace periods, interest-only options, or deferred principal. Each feature, when understood and used wisely, can transform a loan into a powerful tool for building wealth. The key is not to ignore these options, but to integrate them into a broader strategy. Banks favor transparency and honesty. Misunderstanding or misrepresentation can lead to denial, penalties, or loss of trust. By adhering strictly to rules while navigating them creatively, a borrower gains credibility. Credibility translates into more freedom, better terms, and increased flexibility in future borrowing. People who respect the system often find that the system begins to work in their favor. Discipline, clarity, and honesty amplify opportunity and reduce friction in every interaction with financial institutions. Interest rates are another lever. Fixed versus variable rates, promotional rates, and refinancing options all present moments for optimization. Understanding when to lock in a rate or when to adjust payments can save thousands over time. Banks often design these rates to encourage specific behaviors, and a disciplined borrower can use the incentives to their advantage. Rate management is not luck. It is preparation, analysis, and strategic action. Each decision compounds over time, shaping the trajectory of personal wealth. Banks also respond positively to diversified relationships. Maintaining multiple accounts responsibly, building a history with different products, and using services like lines of credit, savings programs, or investment accounts establishes familiarity and reliability. A person who demonstrates capability across multiple products gains trust and may be offered customized terms. Each relationship strengthens the borrower's ability to leverage the system for personal growth. Treating the bank as a partner rather than a barrier shifts the mindset from conflict to collaboration. Risk assessment rules can be understood and mitigated. Banks evaluate borrowers based on income stability, debt-to-income ratios, and historical behavior. A disciplined individual can improve these factors before borrowing, ensuring access to better terms. Preparing documentation, reducing unnecessary debt, and demonstrating steady income are all actions that turn potential barriers into advantages. By aligning personal behavior with the bank's evaluation criteria, the borrower essentially programs the system to respond favorably. Banks often offer options for automation. Automatic payments, scheduled transfers, and notifications reduce human error and help maintain compliance with terms. A disciplined borrower uses these tools to avoid late fees and missed payments. Automating critical aspects of repayment ensures that the system of rules becomes a protective mechanism rather than a source of stress. This allows focus to shift to growth, investment, and skill development rather than constant worry over deadlines. The strategic borrower also understands fees. Late payment penalties, early repayment charges, and maintenance costs can erode potential gains. By studying these rules carefully, one can avoid unnecessary loss and use funds more efficiently. Planning around fees, rather than ignoring them, ensures that every borrowed dollar works optimally. Awareness of costs is not restrictive, it is empowering because it converts hidden expenses into manageable factors. Rules regarding loan renewal and refinancing can be advantageous if approached intelligently. Some banks allow renegotiation or restructuring after demonstrating responsible management. This can extend available capital, reduce monthly strain, or create better interest terms. A person who consistently follows rules builds the credibility needed to access these opportunities. Strategic timing, documented history, and disciplined behavior transform routine processes into significant tools for advancement. Banks also monitor credit behavior over time. Consistency, reliability, and responsibility in all accounts influence future decisions. By understanding that behavior is observed, the borrower can deliberately cultivate a track record that increases leverage for future loans. Each decision, each timely payment, each responsible application adds to a portfolio of trust. That portfolio becomes a personal advantage in negotiations and access to resources. In the end, the ability to turn bank rules into tools is a skill that compounds. It is not about exploiting loopholes. It is about mastery of the system through knowledge, discipline, and foresight. Each rule understood becomes a lever. Each process followed consistently builds credibility. Each strategic action compounds opportunities. Banks are not obstacles to growth when approached with clarity, preparation, and integrity. They become a structured environment where the disciplined borrower can advance steadily, confidently, and sustainably. Chapter 10 of Build Lasting Wealth by Making Banks Fund Growth. Building lasting wealth requires more than earning money or saving diligently. It requires leveraging resources strategically and allowing capital to work for you instead of against you. One of the most powerful tools for creating long-term financial growth is the use of banks as partners rather than obstacles. Borrowing, when done with intelligence, can turn banks into engines of opportunity, amplifying your ability to acquire assets, generate income, and strengthen your financial position over time. The key is to approach every loan with discipline, clarity, and strategy. The first principle is to always borrow with a purpose. Borrowing to consume does not create wealth. Borrowing to invest creates momentum. Every loan should have a defined goal and a clear path toward return. That path might be acquiring an income, generating asset, expanding a business, or funding education that increases earning potential. The borrowed money must produce more than its cost. If it cannot, it is not working for you. Purposeful borrowing transforms an obligation into a stepping stone. Understanding leverage is essential. Leverage allows a person to control more capital than they currently own, multiplying opportunities. When banks provide capital, they are lending their resources, giving you the ability to act on opportunities faster than personal savings alone would allow. Leverage increases both risk and reward, but when used with intelligence and discipline, it favors growth. The person who masters leverage knows exactly how much to borrow, how to apply it, and how to manage repayment, ensuring that the borrowed funds accelerate progress rather than create stress. Every step of borrowed growth must be intentional. Investing in assets that generate steady income ensures that each loan contributes to a compounding cycle of wealth. Rental properties, productive equipment, or scalable services convert borrowed capital into recurring returns. Each repayment becomes not only a fulfillment of obligation, but also a reinforcement of discipline and a foundation for additional opportunity. Borrowing intelligently builds layers of advantage over time. Diversification strengthens long-term wealth. Placing all borrowed capital into a single asset or project is dangerous. Spreading resources across multiple income streams reduces risk and provides stability. Each asset contributes differently, and each repayment schedule can be aligned with its expected return. This approach transforms borrowing from a potential trap into a controlled strategy that increases resilience. When one income stream slows, others maintain the foundation, protecting growth and providing confidence to pursue additional opportunities. Monitoring performance is crucial. Borrowed funds must be tracked carefully. Each asset, investment, or project should be reviewed for cash flow, returns, and efficiency. This allows timely adjustments and prevents small problems from turning into significant setbacks. Discipline in monitoring ensures that loans continue to serve growth instead of becoming burdens. Knowledge of performance empowers decision-making and keeps the borrower proactive rather than reactive. Building lasting wealth also requires patience. Growth is rarely instant. Loans may fund projects that take months or years to mature. The person who understands this horizon remains consistent and avoids panic. Patience allows strategy to unfold without unnecessary distraction or impulsive decisions. Each on-time repayment and each completed project builds credibility, experience, and financial foundation. Wealth is constructed over time, not overnight. Relationships with banks matter. Responsible borrowing establishes trust, opening doors to larger loans, better terms, and additional programs. Consistency in repayment, transparent communication, and adherence to agreements strengthen credibility. The borrower who demonstrates reliability is rewarded with flexibility and opportunity. Banks begin to function as allies, providing resources that enable expansion and accelerate wealth creation. Long-term partnerships with financial institutions compound the advantages of every strategic move. Tax strategy and cost management are additional layers of wealth building. Borrowed capital used for productive purposes often carries deductions or favorable treatment, depending on local laws. Managing expenses efficiently ensures that more of the income generated from assets can be reinvested. Borrowing becomes not just a source of capital, but a tool that interacts with broader financial systems to amplify growth. Strategic handling of both income and obligation multiplies results without increasing unnecessary risk. Reinvesting returns from assets funded by loans is essential. Every gain should be evaluated for its potential to generate further income. Compounding occurs when borrowed capital and generated returns are continuously deployed into productive opportunities. Discipline in reinvestment ensures that growth accelerates instead of plateauing. Borrowed funds are not merely a temporary boost. They become the foundation for ongoing wealth creation. Each cycle reinforces the next, creating a self-sustaining system that grows steadily over time. Risk management remains central. No amount of strategy removes uncertainty, but careful assessment, monitoring, and contingency planning minimize exposure. Protecting cash flow, maintaining reserves, and adjusting investments when necessary allow wealth-building efforts to continue despite unexpected challenges. Discipline and foresight reduce vulnerability and allow the borrower to use bank resources to strengthen their position rather than becoming overextended. Mindset is as important as method. Treating loans as tools rather than burdens changes the approach to decision-making. Each borrowed dollar becomes a resource to be directed wisely, not a weight to fear. This perspective fosters confidence, focus, and creativity. Borrowing is no longer a risk to avoid, but a structured opportunity to accelerate personal and financial growth. Discipline, clarity, and strategic thinking turn what seems like debt into a mechanism for wealth creation. Ultimately, lasting wealth is built when borrowing aligns with vision, strategy, and action. Every loan is placed into an asset or opportunity that generates real, measurable returns. Each repayment demonstrates responsibility and enhances credibility. Relationships with banks evolve into partnerships. Income streams multiply and compound. Cash flow becomes reliable. Risk is controlled. Patience and persistence guide the process. Strategic reinvestment amplifies results. Knowledge and discipline transform obligation into opportunity. In this way, borrowed money stops being a limitation and becomes the engine of financial freedom. When banks fund growth in a deliberate, disciplined way, wealth is no longer a matter of chance. It becomes a natural outcome of intentional action, careful planning, and consistent execution. Every step is part of a system that continues to produce value long after the initial loan is repaid, ensuring that the borrower builds real, lasting wealth over a lifetime.